Right, I've been told that we are ready to get underway with the next run, which is the Hobbit any percent NMG by doph. And I will now hand over to doph to introduce the run. Thank you very much.
Alright, I think I'm live right now. I think so.
Should be.
Hello, everyone. I'm doph. Go by Hide, and I'll be running the Hobbit. The category is any percent NMG. And with me, I have my commentator, M Karma.
Hi, I'm M. Karma. I go by he, him, and I'm a longtime runner of this game. I'm currently second on both GameCube and PC NMG, and you might have also seen a speedrunning documentary about this game from me. Now, The Hobbit is a pretty old game. It's on GameCube, PS2, PC, and the original Xbox, also a GBA port, and it's a bit different from the other Lord of the Rings games, being a 3D action platformer, which some people like, some people don't, but it definitely makes for an interesting speedrun. doph, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready, so you can calm me down.
All right. In that case, in 3, 2, 1, start. Now, the first level in The Hobbit is called Dream World. It's basically just a little taste of what you get to see in the game. And funnily enough, it's also a little taste of what you get to see in the speedrun. Starting off with movement, you see doph is kind of like slashing and jumping, which is something called a slash jump. You use the forward momentum from a slash and carry it into a jump, making you a little faster than just walking. And right away, we're going to get a little crazy. If doph can hit it, not an easy trick right here.
Oh no, I'm missing it. It's like...
missing it, but that's perfect because that gives me a moment to explain it. You already saw that Bilbo on the screen there actually got launched a little bit. That's what's called a slope boost. And
okay, I don't know what's happening here.
This
could work.
No stress, no stress. And what doph's trying to do here is to jump attack into that slope, get a little bit of extra forward momentum with it, which then pushes you into the slope and moves you upwards. And what doph did was hit the end trigger of the level, which you normally have to defeat the enemies for, which lowers the ladder that you can then climb up to beat the level. And now we're getting into the not dream world. So certain things are going to be locked, and doph will have to unlock them. That sword that doph had, he doesn't have yet. Now he only has the walking stick. An unexpected party introduces you to kind of the Hobbiton, the world. And you have to do a bunch of fetch quests, collect apples, all kinds of things, repair the bridge. But in the speedrun, that is not of interest to us. Instead, we climb onto this little roof here and jump over an invisible wall. It looks like you can just cross the water. You actually can't. But that actually just skipped all of those quests that you would normally have to do. And doph can just exit the level. So this is a very fast-paced speedrun, as you can see. A lot going on, and you've already seen slope boost, you've seen a bit of the movement, and now you get to see the clipping. This game, especially on PC, walls are mainly just a suggestion. If you come in with the right angle, if you come in with the right type of movement, there are so many walls you can clip through. And funnily enough, in combination with another quirk of The Hobbit, which is that a lot of leftover stuff from development is in the game, makes it so we can reach end triggers that you normally were never meant to reach. Like that end trigger is actually nowhere near where the level would normally end. That is a beta end trigger. And a very hard trick coming up here, which doph does get first try, very nice. That is a slope boost that carries you over another invisible wall. And again, same story as Roast Mutton. There's an alternate end trigger there, left from development, ending the level quickly. And just like that, we've gone through a lot of chapters already, and we're now moving into an actually quite long chapter called Overhill and Underhill, which is really going to test doph's movement here. And this is actually the perfect time to read a quick donation.
Thank you very much for that. We do have $10 from Draconic Eye that says, I'm so excited about this marathon. Thank you to all the people who have worked so hard and the folks volunteering their time for such a wonderful cause. Long live Archie. Thank you so much for that. Do get those donations in, especially thinking about those upcoming incentives that we've got going on. Thank you.
Absolutely. So doph making a little mistake and falling off the map there, but that actually gives us a quick moment to maybe delve a little deeper into the movement, because I went over the slash jumps, which you perform the slash, you carry the momentum into your jump, and you go a little faster. But another thing is the long jump, which is a traditional move, and it's actually faster than the slash jump. However, in this game, it's a little weird. The long jump is only faster when you're going downhill, because at the end of the long jumping animation, you'll just slide off the ground for a second, unless you're heading to a point that is lower than where you started. So the main combination of movement in this game really just boils down to slash jumps pretty much anywhere flat or uphill, and long jumps otherwise.
There's no going back.
And overhill is generally
Oh,
considered
how will I
one of the
ever get back
first
to the
real
dwarves?
big challenges in this
Suppose if I
run.
follow the edge of
The
this
first
mountain,
skips are
I'll
all
find my
hard in
way
their
to their
own right.
trail.
They have tricky mechanics, but overhill is kind of unbalanced just from a game design perspective, where you go from these big open levels where really not a lot can go wrong. You suddenly have to parkour past these tricky small ledges along the level. And that in combination with trying to go fast can prove to be quite a bit of a challenge. So a lot of runners end up being stuck here. Add to that the pressure of a marathon, and mistakes are bound to happen, but we're looking a little better now. And that is very good. So coming up now is a little pillar section where there's a skip you can do here. I don't think doph is gonna try for it, or is he?
Pillar looks weak.
Yeah, I'm gonna
He
try
will
the
try
one.
for it.
Trick those stone giants
All
into
right,
making
let's
a
see it.
bridge.
Okay, not gonna try it.
Yeah, so that might have looked like it was a big fail, but you actually have to time a pretty precise jump attack after your long jump there, and doph probably just pressed it too early, so it didn't come out. What he tried to do was grab that ledge with a jump attack, so he didn't have to wait for this pillar to get knocked over, but it's actually quite a tight timing window. But yeah, this level is a great mix of just movement and tricks, and what you've seen now is the movement bit, and we're moving into the trick territory very soon. As this level's called, you go over the hill, you go under the hill, and we've done the overhill part, and now we're going to go into the actual mountain, into the caves, and we'll be seeing another big clip here that actually has quite a bit of history behind it. This is only possible on the PC version of the game, since the clipping mechanics are a little different. And what doph's going to do is he's going to walk into this pillar at a very specific angle, and he's going to try to nudge himself to go into this pillar. Now, normally, you would have to go collect a bunch of stuff deeper down into the caves, a bunch of gears, switches to repair this gearbox that's right behind Bilbo, and open this door. However, with the right inputs, you can start clipping into this pillar and just barely get through that door. And that skip, that clip has seen many different iterations,
Oh,
ranging from
I
very
don't
slow
like the
to
look of
the
this.
more faster versions we have now. And now we're in the water section. A lot can go wrong here. Out of overhill, this is probably the part where maybe most mistakes happen if you don't include pillar skip, the trick that doph tried earlier. And we have a pretty much iconic skip coming up that definitely used to be very hard back in the day. As doph is going to be passing an island that is shaped like a bean and jumping to the other side with a surprisingly tight jump. And this is Bean Island Jump. Very nice. And that allows him to skip a bunch more gear collection and lowering more bridges to get around a different way. And we're coming up to the end of the level now. Fortunately, in the Hobbit, especially the PC version, saves aren't very punishing to make. They go quite quickly, so it's pretty nice for a marathon run that you can just pass by one of these save points and have a little backup. Now, ending this level, we'll be seeing another slope boost, which is going to work slightly differently. What doph is going to be doing is he's going to be slope boosting up this little ledge that's leading to the dwarves up there, and he's going to interact with the dwarf up on the ledge, which triggers his dialogue, and that dialogue actually puts Bilbo right up there, which allows him to skip to the end of the level, where normally there's actually quite a big invisible wall that's not so easy to boost past. So we're moving into Riddles in the Dark, which is actually another quick moment that we could probably fit in a donation. If that works.
Thank you very much. Yes, we do have an anonymous $10 donation that says, "Bird Solidarity, long live Archie." Hell yeah.
Archie all the way. So a quick trick coming up now, known as web skip, which is something where very hard to do on console, a bit easier on PC, fortunately. But these little spiders can get in the way, but doph does get it very nice. Basically just skipping past a little bit of parkour by grabbing that web very low from a place that you're not normally supposed to grab the web. And here's the big skip in Riddles in the Dark. Normally this level sees you going all around with stealth sections, combat sections, all that kind of stuff. However, if you... a bit of a mistake, but that's where the saves come in, fortunately.
It's fine.
You'll be fine. But normally, yeah, you would collect all these things. However, since the very early days of this speedrun, we have not been doing that. Because, as it turns out, the opposite side of the cell you just saw has a minecart that leads straight to the end of the level. And, if you want to go get that, you can either get it from... by clipping through that wall, climbing back up the mine shaft there, or you can do what doph is doing now, which is the invisible minecart trick, which is something a lot more newer and actually quite interesting, has a lot of history behind it, where there is actually, at this part of the minecart track, there is a minecart that you can interact with, which doesn't actually show visibly. However, you can get it. However, the minecarts going around this track, the decorative ones, also, some of them are invisible. So doph is actually on a very specific cycle now, and those slashes you saw him do in the minecart actually changed that cycle a little bit. A lot going on behind the scenes to make that work. But basically, what he did was on a very specific cycle, take that minecart right to the end of the level without having to do any of the funny business you would normally have to do. Very nice. Then we have flies and spiders. Probably, for a lot of speedrunners, this might be one of their favorite levels. What do you think, doph?
I'm not sure about that.
You're not sure? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the reason some people like it is because there's a lot of tricks and going out of bounds and just a lot of cool stuff going on here. Starting off, you already see doph trying to go out of bounds with a slope boost here. And if you're wondering why he went back to hit that plant, your jump attack is actually on a 10-second cooldown. And the jump attack is what you need for the slope boost. So every time you miss, you have to wait 10 seconds. However, hitting an enemy can increase your jump attack meter and make it so you can try your slope boost again quicker. But yeah, flies and spiders is weaving in and out of bounds quickly to just try to get the fastest, straightest path to the end of the level. It's quite tricky, but can feel quite rewarding to get when you do everything right. And another big thing is that throughout, because of the way the Hobbit works, it's a bit of an older game, and they try to optimize it by not having most of the level loaded, pretty standard stuff. It means that there's said load triggers that load the next parts of the levels all throughout. And in flies and spiders especially, it can be quite challenging while doing all of this out of bounds stuff to hit the appropriate load triggers to make sure that the next part of the level actually loads so you can go and finish it. And that actually comes into play here. This big log that doph is walking on now, he's going to try to hit there, nice, he got it. You can't see it, but there is a low trigger going through that log, because normally you would go through that and around, but you can hit it by walking on top of it in a specific way too, which then pops in the rest of the level, and doph can now go and try to finish that.
Got to be close.
And at the end of the level here, you actually have to fight a big spider boss, a very tedious fight, very difficult to do when you have the low health that you do in a speedrun. However, that can be completely skipped because, fortunately, like many levels in this game, there's just an alternate end trigger. Although this one's quite a bit different from the other alternate end triggers. You can find it out of bounds and you can skip the whole level. And here is the quickest level in the speedrun, which is also arguably one of the hardest ones, because of this specific trick that doph is going for right here, trying to clip into this tree. Normally, first try, actually very impressive. Doph made it look easy, so it might have not seemed like it, but that is very hard to do, especially on a first try under pressure. But normally in Barrels Out of Bond, you actually just have to go through the entire level. It's a big stealth section level. You have to put a guard elf to sleep. You have to get the dwarves out. There's so much to do. A very long level normally, probably the longest level if we didn't have that skip. But it just so happens another alternate end trigger right behind the start, which doph managed to get by getting up there. And now a warm welcome, another interesting trick here. Doph is walking on an invisible floor right off of the map here, and is doing a rock throw off the floor, which makes Bilbo slow fall, basically falling without the risk of fall damage, and he can choose when his fall stops or continues by moving his mouse. And this puts him under the invisible floor in the water, and the water is drifting Doph away, which you guessed it, is drifting him straight over an invisible end trigger, which over the course of about 30-40 seconds, he'll be able to fall into to end this level very early. And that's actually the perfect time for another donation if we have one.
Thank you very much. I would just like to remind people about the open bid wars and incentives we got going on right now. So there is the Coda showcase in the Crypt of the Necrodancer run, where if we meet that, Mora will play Coda, who is the hardest character in the game, and play a run that the devs have labeled as probably impossible following the Crypt of the Necrodancer run. So that'll definitely be really interesting and entertaining. I really do hope we can see that met. And we also have the bid war for the Save or Ditch the Cat in Night of the Woods, where we're choosing between saving the cat or saving the frames before Marlon reaches the final boss of the Demon Tower in that run. So please do get your donations in to help get those met, and let us know which ones you want to be donating towards. Thank you.
Very exciting. So, inside information is another stealth level. Normally, you'd have to pass Smaug, sneak around, all that kind of stuff, and eventually open the big door in the back, let the dwarves through. However, by going out of bounds, we are able to skip all of that. Now, even going out of bounds usually isn't enough to skip this level. The big door in the back that leads to the end trigger isn't the only thing blocking you, as if you haven't done most of the things in this level, there's also a huge invisible wall. So there'll be a lot of stuff happening that's not visibly apparent, but is all very important to this trick. Doph is going to line up this jump to go past the invisible wall, curve around it to just hit the end trigger, and actually finish the level. All stuff that you can't see, but you have to appreciate if you know about it. And that leads us into another quick level, the Gathering of the Clouds. I said without skips, barrels would maybe be the longest, but I didn't consider this level because it's actually been broken for so long on every platform. But the goal of this level is to collect a bunch of keys, actually make the keys from all different sections in this level to open up the final door that leads to the Archiethon. And Doph is actually going into the room where you place the keys right now, and you see the big door right ahead. That is our goal. And as you might have guessed, with the clipping mechanics and walls being a pure suggestion, Doph can clip into this pillar quite easily and just go past the door and collect the Archiethon. No keys required. And that leads us into the final level. This is a very quick speedrun. This level is kind of similar to Overhill in a sense. A lot of tricks and a lot of movement, and a lot can go wrong. Hopefully, I'm not jinxing anything there. Starting off, we're going to see a slope boost to go out of bounds. Now, the tricky part about this slope boost is you have to do it from a slash jump. So you have to input that little movement
You
thing.
don't have to. It's a new
You don't have to, actually.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Doph does it without. Most people prefer to do it with because it makes the jump timing a little easier, but it's kind of like a trade-off. And then a trick that is actually another one where you don't really see what's going on, but you kind of have to know it coming up is Corwin skip. So what the game's going to do here is it's going to load in an NPC called Corwin, who is going to start a fight with these goblins, and you would have to defeat the goblins, or whatever they are, honestly, to make sure that Corwin doesn't die. However, the trigger to load in Corwin and the trigger to load in the actual fight are two separate ones. So what Doph did was very narrowly navigate the triggers to only load in Corwin, and then I completely skipped over another trick because it just went so quick. Another thing that Doph did was walk while he was up out of bounds, which the game actually takes note of every time Bilbo walks for a set amount of time. It does that to make sure that if something goes wrong in the game, it knows, okay, Bilbo's been walking here, so this is a safe spot to go back to if anything goes wrong. And Doph actually abused that, making the game think he was safe while out of bounds, then continuing to jump continuously while doing Corwin skip, which made it so the game, okay, not safe, so the safe spot was still up out of bounds, and then finally doing something, in this case, grabbing the ladder in a weird way, which made the game panic and put him back up top. And now, out of bounds again, pretty much the final stretch here towards the end of the speedrun. Moving out of bounds and going to the final barrel of this game, because the final fight in this game has you setting off a big contraption that ends up damaging or freeing the big bear, which wins the fight for you. It's a very convoluted bit of story. I'm not sure if this is how it went in the books. Maybe some creative liberty here. But yeah, you'll see Doph climbing this catapult, then going past a bunch of invisible walls and going neatly around, hitting the barrel, and that's time.
Okay, that is a really good run.
That is a very nice run for a marathon. Well done.
I got almost everything
Congratulations.
try after overall.
Yeah. Without overheal, I
GG.
wonder what that would have been.
Yeah,
And
this
that-
is exactly what happened in the books.
True. Very true. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed the run of The Hobbit. It's a quick one. It's a weird one. Very strange game. But I'm glad Doph was able to show it to all of you. And such a nice event.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for the commentary on Karma. It's a really fun game to run, so I'm happy to be able to showcase this in this marathon. And yeah, I think that's it from me. Thank you all.
Yep, same here. Thanks, everyone.
But thanks very much to both of you for coming on and showcasing and commentating that run. It's a lot of fun, really cool. I love these like really old, like broken, funny-looking 3D platformers from like this era. There's a certain charm to them that doesn't really exist in games nowadays. I think. I love games like this.
Absolutely.
And he saw no more. The battle raged around him, a battle of 5 armies. The goblins were driven.